Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. Let's talk a little Russellian. Walter Russell. So, quick experiment, something for you to ponder. All these magnets on the outside here are north. I created a dipole on the center axial. These are all north vertically. On the axial there, I have the dipole set up here. Got your north, got your south. And yeah. Let's grab these magnets. See if I can do this with one hand and make it go to work. Now this is north against north. And you can see it's picking up. And I need really two hands to put more pressure on it. But the more pressure you put on it, the faster it will turn. To me, this is Walter Russell at its finest in vortex. And we'll go even bigger than this. Peace out, my brohams. Leave your comments. It's a 180-degree angle. Of polarization. Leave your comments. Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. Just want to give you a little update. So here's my Walter Russell setup here. And the reason I'm calling it a Walter Russell setup is because what we're going to do here on this fine mini experiments is we're going to take a dipole and we're going to create one horizontally. And that'll be the axial here. And then on the rotation, like a Ferris wheel here, the vertical rotation, all the magnets are north facing out. And how I came about this is I was doing some reading on Walter Russell and his vortexial process there. And what I realized is if you take the writings from Maxwell and you apply them into Walter Russell, it makes sense because the natural process in space is for dilation, and that dilation takes place with matter and ponderable matter. And what I mean by ponderable matter would be the ether, would be ponderable matter. So if you take ether and look at one side as the reaction to the action, ponderable matter would be the reaction. It'd be this side of the screen. This side of the screen would be the action. So what I mean by that is, so you have your norths here, and this is how this all came about. We're setting it up right now in the Weaponise setup. So I got a bifilar here, and we're going to hook it up to 3 batteries 2 will be the running batteries, and actually 3 batteries. 1 will be the run battery, 2 will be the charge batteries. We'll use a resistor, variable resistor. We'll use resistors also, and we'll also use a transistor, and we'll get this thing turning. So what will happen when it turns? All right, I'm going to draw out a diagram of this whole circuitry and also on the philosophy. So if you look over here, we have a south-facing part of the dipole, and then we got the north-facing part of the dipole. And how I even came up with what side is north, what side is south, was based on natural process. So the natural process is by taking, before I even put the magnet on there, I put the magnet in my hand. That's a big, strong neodymium, number 52, by the way. And I put it in my hand, and you got to be careful with these magnets because they'll just race out of your hand, and you don't want to be in between them. So when I put it up there, look, you can see it just turned. Let's flip it over here. So when you put it up towards the center, it's flipped, and that's the pole. It's natural process. So what'll happen is whatever pole this is, the opposite pole turned its way towards it, right? So there's a dipole in there with some kind of spatial relations in that dielectric of in between, even though they're touching, which I could put this here, and I got this round disc that came with these that are in between. So let's go ahead and figure out placement first. And once it go, but that's pretty cool, huh? Let me see where it starts to turn. Right there, that far out. Now let's check on the magnets where it wants to turn. So look, it's already. I don't know. It seems stronger in the center to turn versus here. Now remember, there's a core here, laminated core. My coil woundings, we'll get into that. I'll draw up the circuit for this. This is going to be a cool bunch of experiments. So the natural process here is for it to be that pole. So we're going to go ahead. Oh wait, we know what side it is right now. We're attach it to the. Oh shit. We're going to attach it to the plastic. So basically, we want this plastic to be in between. Not really, but I mean, yes and no. Oh, holy shit, it broke it all apart. All right, we'll just go without it for now. Well, I got a few more of them. But so what you're creating is a dipole in here. So whatever that metal is, the axial. So if you got north out here, south is touching the metal rim. The metal rim has got metal spokes, metal hub, and then metal axial core. So that determined that's going to be the south pole. There's your north pole. There's your north poles. So let's imagine this. So there's your horizontal poles. Field streams are going to come over and overlap, come out and overlap. But there's going to be a problem with that. Right now they're fighting their way through the spokes, which has a stream running this way, a vertical stream. Now hear me out. So when you put this in motion, depending on which way you turn it, the field lines are going to come out and come up over. And we're really, really putting an oblong shaped, in a sense, stress on the ether. Back to the ether, guys. The ether, to a lot of people, don't mean much. It's not even relevant because it's reactionable. To me, I'm looking at the irrelevant side, the reactionable side. Now that is just acting off the induction off the core, the laminated core of that coil. So if I were to put a voltmeter on those wires there, there'd be some millivolts showing up, I'm sure, or small volts. But you'll see I bought some magnetic film, and we're going to be able to kind of get a visual around this wheel with the magnetic film to look at the field lines, because I want to be able to prove how they're turning. I mean, because this and this side is two ends of a pole, dipole, and so it's going to loop and want to come back over. But it's going to come over once this is in motion. This is going to come over because this here is going to want to push out. I mean, literally push out. So the swath of the center of, say if this is the equator, okay, but it's vertical, it's not horizontal, there's a vertical, but here's your, or you could say this is the equator, horizontal, but this is stretching out the field all the way up to here and then coming over and then going back around, and whether or not the paper will show us if the field comes out and goes around like a round bubble, or if it comes up like an egg and goes over. I believe it follows the contour of the field that is going the opposite direction. This is 180 degrees off. Basically, if 360 is a circle, we're doing one horizontal, one vertical. We're going to do a bunch of tests with her, and hope you will enjoy the experiments. Next time you see a video, it'll be hooked up to my Weaponise circuit, and we will have about 4,000 to 5,000 RPMs. We'll have all the tacks hooked up to it. We'll have the voltmeters hooked up to it. Power in, power out. And then from there, we're going to do a dipole expansion. So basically, from this point here and this point here, there's part of the dipole. Oh, one thing. There's another dipole created here with the with the Weaponise, which now the dipole here was a horizontal, and there's also a dipole between the top of these north magnets and the center there. So you sort of have a cross. But now we're including a dipole. Well, this is not going to be necessarily a dipole because this is going to be north facing and this is north facing. So this is almost like a half crescent wave that's going to be forcing itself upon this wave. This wave will be turning, but be turning because of this half wave is giving it a wall to bounce off of. We're going to get into this. This gets really deep. I don't want to do it all in this 10-minute video. I want you guys to understand that this is going to be really complex, and this will be the start of me writing up all my circuitry. So you guys will have some empirical data to use here on this experiment. All right, peace out. Need your comments. Hello, my fellow YouTubers. Besides working on this Walter Russell / Weaponise setup, it's time to weaponize Ed Leedskalnins. And what I mean by weaponize is we got these 1-inch square magnets. I got them facing out how the same pole would be what it should be. So if this is south, it goes to a dipole into this part of the magnets, the north, and then this part's the south. So what we are doing now is we are amplifying the magnetic field of this whole wheel. So what I'm going to do is I can't get 3 magnets in here because when you take this magnet and push it up to here, it makes this one flip over. So we'll just go from top to bottom. So that means there's going to be a strong north here, north in the center, but it's, you know, there's something else going on there. And then there's a strong south here and south there. And there's south in the middle too, but it's crazy. I just had these two stick together. I'm going to have to figure out. I use my big pipe wrench to pull them apart. But yeah. Crazy thing is the strength of it. Oh my. Yeah. That's like coming off with one hand. I don't want to hurt myself. So yeah, the strength now is gorilla. So we're going to call Ed Leedskalnins wheel the gorilla wheel. So what I'm going to do is put these all the way around. And now the strength, it still remains a universal, meaning that there's a U-shaped or V-shaped magnet. And the ends of the magnets still are the poles that they should be. So everything will be north, south, north, south, north, south, all the way around. But we really amplified the magnetic field. I think this will help that Ed didn't have this availability in his day. And this will help me sort of go more into the workings of Ed and his writings, and his philosophies will dig deeper there. But right now, Walter Russell has got my attention. First time Walter Russell, beside the cone shaped Tesla coil that he worked on, Walter Russell now brings in a whole new chapter. So excited, super excited, and super excited here, because this expansion of the dipole is what I'm going to do is come off of this horizontal dipole of this vortexian. So this would be the big wide center, and then it vortexes down to a funnel, okay, on both sides. So you have a double vortex, a Russellian vortex, I'm going to call it. And we're going to come off of that with a dipole that's going to be out here on this table. But what we're going to do is we're going to have all the meters hooked up. And the plan is, this experiment that we're going to do is going to be, I am going to build a magnetic diode. And that diode will be hooked to a LED. And when I take that LED, and we'll look at power in, okay? And when we take the electromagnetic diode and put it in the middle of the dipole of this. So this is north, everything is south here, and this is north facing out. So that means that the next dipole from this will be south, okay? So this is north, this is south. So that means if I put a dipole out here, that becomes south, and we'll have to test it on its strength from here out we'll see where a LED lights up, okay? We'll use that as a junction. And wherever it stops, we'll put the conductor there, so we know that this and the conductor on the outside with the LED is lit, okay? And then from the middle of that, we're going to put I'm going to build a electromagnetic diode. And that diode is going to be positioned, and we're going to show two ways of that diode. We're going to show it one way where it goes in and it interferes the dipole. And when it interferes the dipole, the light itself won't light, and it also shows more restriction as the lens effect will show up in between what we just put in here versus what wasn't in there. And you'll see more current being needed to run the wheel, okay? And then when we take the dioide and flip it over, the LED will light up, which shows a load, and it'll show on the power in. Actually, it drops down in current. So we'll figure out what is driving that. And that's my key thing, because I've done this before. I never filmed it, but this wheel I've never done. So I've done it in another form of experimenting. But the fact that if you take that dioide, electromagnetic dioide, it's sort of like creating a virtual ground, but you're able to control the virtual ground in a different way. You're not winding the coil one way or the other like we do to make dipoles, but you're actually using the material itself to be the transition. And that transition would be the fact that it still draws energy, but it doesn't reflect back on what created it. It's sort of a spring off. It's a dipole off, spring off, without a load on the initial start. So interesting stuff. I think this kind of falls in the realm of energy you can pull from some other place. Okay, we'll call it that. You guys have a good day. Leave your comments. Leave your comments. You know, this is touching base with the next level of the onion, and it makes so much sense, because if what I really see is there's a stretching in the ether, and it's based off a dilation of dipoles, and that dilation itself would be able to stretch and open up the ether to where there was like a opening where you can be to the other side. And once you get to the other side, the door shuts down and you're there. And then you'd have to turn around and come back somehow, and it has to open up, and you go back in, and then you're in that dimension. It's dimensional is what it is. And I see it. It's there. It's not like the ether is anything other than a response back. But in order to have one, you have to have the other. Leave it there. Leave your comments. Peace out, bro hams. 9 minutes of joy.